Should we move on to this next video that Middle East Eye posted? It was some representative of Palestine who was talking to, I believe, a British anchor, British reporter named Julie Hartley Brewer. And this is going viral because of the really disgusting and inappropriate way that this interviewer behaved. It's clear that she's trying to push a Zionist narrative, and she's mad that she's losing control of the narrative, and that her interviewee actually has intelligent responses. So she responds by cutting him off, yelling, and calling him a sexist. So yeah, have you guys seen this one yet?
Yes, I put it on my Instagram story. I called it the essence of bourgeois Zionist feminism.
Well, by the way, what do they fall back on? Eternal justice, moralism, right? And bourgeois feminism. Oh, it's the mean ideas of men.
Yep.
You don't approve.
And do you think that Israel is a democratic country?
I know that Israel is a democracy. They have elections.
No, this man is now...
The condescension. They have elections. And then face palms. Yeah, you stupid fuck. That doesn't mean it's a democracy.
How did Hamas come to power? By by their own very standard. Most, if not every single government in the world is democratic if it's just by election, because they get elected. Hamas got elected. That's why it's not in the West Bank, because it didn't get elected in the West Bank, but it did in Gaza. But the idea that democracy means election is another one of these examples of bourgeois ideology turning reality on its head. The concept of democracy simply means, I've said it a million times, demos kratos, power, the capacity to rule, is in the hands of the common people. It has basically little to nothing to do with elections. Elections can be one institutional form through which democracy can be realized, but it is not democracy itself. It is the bemusing of the means for potentially achieving democracy, and democracy itself as an end. And even in the ancient world, Aristotle and most of the ancient Greek philosophers felt that elections were aristocratic because the people that have the capacity to win elections and to convince the masses, remember that this is the era of the explicit sophists training for money the politicians so that they can get elected and have lucrative careers. The people that get elected are those with money. Those with money. So it was seen, elections were seen as a central instrument of aristocracy. Democracy was supposed to have a different series of institutions, not elections. So the philosophers of the bourgeoisie who set up their various states, they read their Aristotle, they read their classics, they knew this, but they still went ahead and produced the institutions of what traditionally was called aristocracy and called it democracy.
Has 4 courts against him because of 4 cases of corruption. This man knows if the war stops,
we haven't got time to do the entire history of Benjamin Netanyahu, who is not a popular figure in Israel.
So she just said, I know Israel's a democracy, but then admitted that the leader in the face of Israel is not popular. So if he's not popular, if the leader isn't popular, how did he get in? Was it through big money and propaganda and manipulating the people to push someone who's unpopular to the top? Yes, obviously. But he tries to explain that to her, and she goes, we don't have time to go into the whole history. It's not history, you stupid. It's what's going on right now. So what's going on right now. You have an undemocratic leader in charge who's trying to keep the war going because he knows when the war ends, he's going to be indicted with corruption by the Israeli courts. But you won't let the guy explain that because you're too much of a loudmouth, and you know he's dismantling everything that you're saying.
I'm not here to defend Benjamin Netanyahu. Mustafa, is it possible to...
Whenever I speak about Palestinian rights or Palestinian situation, you claim it is history. I'm talking about what's happening today.
No, I know, and
this is not history.
Can we just... You talked about how you don't want Israel. You're saying Israel, that October the 7th happened. You're placing that in historical context. I understand that. Please don't say that again. We don't have time for it. You've made that point 5 times already.
I don't know what you have time
Oh my
for. Let
God,
me
for
explain
the love
myself.
of God, let me finish a sentence, man. Maybe you're not used to women talking. I don't know, but I'd like to finish a sentence, sir. Anyway, so.
Ugh, I'm cringing. Every
Yeah.
little inch of my body is cringing. How does
Oh,
this
I love
woman
it.
walk that back or watch this back and be like, yeah, I killed it? Not like get nauseous or sick to her stomach at the sight of her own face and sound of her own voice.
Eddie, I love this. They're showing themselves. You think any rational person, any so-called apolitical person, the people that, maybe they haven't engaged with a lot of media and then they engage with this, you think anyone can be convinced by the position that she holds? You think people are not seeing right through that? On social media, she's been bombed. Like everyone is clear of how stupid she was approaching the whole thing. It's very clear, and that's all they have to resort to. That cheap moralism and acting. Frankly, I'm sorry, I don't know if there's another way to call it, but throwing a fucking hissy fit. She did not let the man speak. You ask a man a question, he begins to answer it with the proper historical context, and you stop him, and then you stop him, and you stop him, and you stop him, and then you have the fucking audacity to make a racist statement, an Orientalist statement, which is at the root of all of these people's defense of Israel, a deep racist dehumanization of the Palestinian and Arab people. That I don't know if you're used to speaking to women or having women speak. What? Really? It's absurd, but I'm glad that they're showing their themselves. They are their own worst enemy, if we're honest, because just by the mere way that they carry out their defense of their positions, it becomes clear to everyone who's not a fanatic Zionist that they're completely irrational, that they have more than a few screws loose.
And that she fell back to the typical liberal tropes that he wasn't listening because he's some backwards Arabic savage, right? Which is exactly what she was implying. And that they aren't woke like she is, right? Where she stands up for her rights as a woman and is really like Corliss just said, it's on full display right there. She was cutting him off over and over and over again. The man's just calmly trying to make a point. That's it. That is it. And this is, and I hate to tie this all back to our problems as the American left, I guess, but we can't sound like her, right? Talking down to people and and sort of treating them as if they're unenlightened rabble and we're super enlightened and woke is going to get you, whether you realize it or not, just like she's not realizing it, the same reaction that it got her. That is why people can't stand the left except for the left. So we got to do better and just understand people, just be a human being. That's it.
Yeah, people said that after my Jubilee appearance. There were some folks who were like, you're the first communist I've talked to or seen who's not condescending. I'm like, oh man, that is not good. We got to change that reputation, guys. There's no reason to be condescending when you have the truth on your side. The only reason to be condescending is if you're a Zionist like Julie Hartley Brewer here and your whole fucking job is to lie. That's the only reason you have to be condescending and resort to these appeals to emotion and appeals to morality. And it's the same thing that Kanafani lays out in his book on Zionist literature. Because of the contradictions at the core of Zionist ideology, because the Zionist cause is not a just cause and it is based on the forced expulsion of Palestinian Arabs, the only way to justify their action is through lies and through racist arguments of Jewish superiority and Arab inferiority. So what does this woman here fall back on when she has her lies debunked with facts? She falls back on this idea of, oh, you're just, a backwards Arab who's not used to a woman talking to her. And there's, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add quick. There's some more of this video and it doesn't make her look any better.
Just one sentence. You cannot raise the people up, which is the task of communists, by talking down to them. Even in formulating the dilemma, you see the contradiction. You cannot raise up what you talk down to.
no, you are misleading the public now
Really?
by
Right,
claiming
I've got
this
20
thing that
seconds
you
left.
just
I'm not even
said.
going to bother trying to
And
answer.
what
If you
do-
don't think
ask me the
Israel's
question.
reaction is acceptable, what would have been an acceptable reaction to you? You've got 10 seconds left.
To end occupation and allow peace to prevail for both people.
That's their react. Brilliant. Yeah. Sorry to have been a woman speaking to you, but they.
Ugh. Just so disgusting. It's outright disgusting. And I want to just tail on something that Carlos was just saying. Not talking down to people is so incredibly important. I say this all the time that the only way for communists to ever lead anything is to recognize that it isn't communists leading the working class, but the working class leading the communists. I've heard so many people, when we talk about reaching out to people, working class people, wherever they're at, they go, but you're tailing. You're tailing. That's not what tailism is. Okay. Get the brand names out of your head. Reach out to working people. Find out what they need. Explain why capitalism is the problem and why communism is the solution.